I'm here, I'm tall. Some guy had on his shirt. He's like 6'10".
Oh, are we doing Google
No,
Hangouts?
I don't play basketball.
Whoa, is it YouTube?
No, it's streaming. Streaming this for private thing.
Yeah.
But okay, we're recording this, guys, because this is now a crisis meeting.
Crisis alert!
So we're gonna forego the normal kind of meeting things and talk about COVID-19 coronavirus stuff and what our action plan is going forward. So what it means that we have to have a kind of frank chat about what's going to happen next and what we can do as I touch my face.
Do with my hands.
First things first. As of right now, tours are going forward as planned. As of right now, the Formula One is looking to be canceled. From what
Fuck. So weird that they weren't.
Right.
Well, what I understand, 5 of the major teams have pulled out. They haven't officially canceled yet, but it would be very likely. We have word that the comedy festival might be canceling as well, and so the world's going to be interesting over the next few weeks. I think also we're going to have all these like basically refugees in the town who have come for the comedy festival, who have come for the Formula One, who are suddenly looking for something to do. And so it's kind of incumbent upon us to act and help out and be able to show them the city while we can. It's actually
Thankfully, we're all hilarious.
Right. But Sarah brought up a really good point on WhatsApp yesterday about how it feels like the elephant in the room that you have to acknowledge here. And so I think that the way that we should be addressing this going forward, it's always if Bo were here right now, he would probably be saying that the first few seconds of you showing up, setting the tone for the rest of your tour. So if we start out and say we're not going to shake hands today, and we're not going to touch, and hopefully no one has coronavirus, we get sick, go away. It's just gonna set a tone that's off. I think it's important that we talk about it, but I think the way to start with is giving them a round of applause. Thank you for showing up. We're an independent business, and as you know, in the world we're struggling right now, and so we really appreciate you guys going here in the age of bushfires and coronavirus. And so we're going to show you an amazing time today. I'm really excited to show you around. We will be taking some precautions. Just halfway through the tour, we'll be stopping for a hand wash, and so we can do that. We can do our 20-second hand wash on there. But other than that, it's a normal tour, guys. Let's go for it. I think that's enough. I think that more than that is going to set the wrong tone for the tour. And if it gets to the point where one of us has a confirmed case of it, then we're gonna have to reassess that with what to do.
It's really hard at the moment because purely just the physical needs of our job also reflect the symptoms. Like the easiest symptom is that you have a sore throat, and it's like, ooh, maybe I should get that checked out. But also, I've run 6 free tours, so
really good point. Really good point. But it's a really good opportunity for us to show leadership, kind of in the travel space as a whole. I'm recording this for Bo, but then I'm also considering maybe even like posting it out of like how we've dealt with it as like after the fact. I think a lot of people, myself included, are looking to other business owners for, hey, what are we all doing here? What are we doing? My biggest fear is not so much the virus itself. It's not even the decreased numbers. My biggest worry, and the thing that's keeping me up right now, is what happens if we all get it at the same time. And so I'm going to announce a few measures we're going to take, which is going to limit our exposure from one another, which means that this will be the last time that we see each other in person for a while, because it's the best thing. We're all going to get it. Like it looks like statistics say that 70% of the people in the world will get this virus. And so the question is, how do we delay it for as long as possible? And then how do we stagger our illnesses for as long as possible? Because this is a small business, and this business cannot sustain a 2-week period of paying wages while no income is coming in. And so I am not sure what the kind of answer to that is right now, and I'm trying to figure it out. But my goal is to basically keep us all with a paycheck. And so it's something I'm going to have to start really thinking about some pretty serious kind of considerations. And so I'm going to ask for your guys' patience with like, if I make like a big change and it's like a big adjustment to the tour, understand that where it's coming from is just trying to keep the ship afloat. And so this is like, I think in the last 24 hours, the US announcing Europeans not welcome 30 days, and people from Europe are not welcome for 30 days, and also that Americans are not advised to travel outside the country. In India, banning all travel internationally. In Vietnam, banning British, Dutch, German, French, Italian, yeah, basically Europe. It's going to be interesting. So here's the things that I'm going to put in place right away. This meeting is now a digital meeting from now on. So every Friday we'll do this still, but we'll do it as a Google Hangout. We at the start of one of our tours, we have the kind of transmission of a physical object, which is the envelope with square readers and all that stuff. I'm going to issue everyone square readers, and you're just going to go home with them. And those are your square readers right now. So we're not passing them around. You'll have a charger as well with it. It'll just be your responsibility to keep those charged and ready to go for your tour. Ticketing. I'm thinking what I'll do is we'll take the bar tour tickets and we'll distribute them evenly amongst us. And then those will be the tickets. And then that'll buy me enough time to hop on the website and then create an online ticketing platform. And so we still sell the tickets, but we actually don't close the deal. We say, to get this discount, you hop on walks101.com/tickets, perhaps, I have to confirm that URL. And then they have all their ticketing options on there, Eureka Skydeck, bar tour, the complete Melbourne, the complete Sydney on there. And to get your discount, you need to use your discount code and put your name tag, Will. And then I'll make it so the discount amounts are kind of appropriate on there. And so what that does is it makes there's not that physical interaction happening. I'm limiting the exchange of money on there. Please be aware when we will still have cash transacted at the end of the tour through tips.
That's the highest risk, isn't it?
Right. And so that's the biggest thing. So I'm going to have a process I'll put in place where we can go deposit that cash directly to the bank, so you don't have to interact with us over here. And I still have to figure out what the reporting system for that is, but I think it's probably better than putting it in a wallet, giving it to us, and us touching the wallet, us giving the wallet back to you, and all that stuff. I feel like that's the lower risk way to deal with it. But then the thing is, once you touch that money, you're not touching your face. You're going to the pub, and you're just being aware of where your hands are, and then you're going straight to the bathroom and washing your hands for 20 seconds. I think that's probably the smartest way. Also, iPads are a high risk of transmission as well. We handed the iPads away for registration, and so we are going to stop doing that. And we are still going to require people to register, but we're going to have a URL for that. You have to hop on their phones, go to walks101.com/register. Again, not confirmed that yet. And then it'll just take them straight to that MailChimp form, but on their own phones, as opposed to on our device. It's getting handed around from person to person to person. So as I was just going through the tick box thing of all the things that are risky, it's all those kind of exchanging of things. If we can do that, we reduce our risk pretty significantly. The other thing I'm going to look at, like right now, everyone's canceling their holidays overseas, and so we have a lot of people who have holiday books and wondering what to do about it. And so I think our small group tour is actually a really good option for a lot of people. We're not gathering in a big group; we're giving them something to do. And so we had a contactless, complete Melbourne walking tour. I can see that as being kind of a thing that lets people come out, assuage your fears, get out in the open air, but also abide by, I assume, what will be impending regulations for no large gatherings. Potentially in the future, I might have to be making the free walking tour reservation only. That's not a decision I'm prepared to make quite yet, because it has some other kind of impacts about the pickups. And so I have to kind of more closely consider that. It's a pretty major chunk of our business. But if we make the free tour reservation only, and then we close the bookings in advance, that means that we're not having guides show up when they're not needed. So for example, like when Hugo or I are at the start point and we go back, that's an unnecessary interaction. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to limit all those unnecessary interactions.
In the pickups in the hostels as well. It's like,
right.
There's like thousands of people live in like the base of the village or something like that. It's pretty high traffic zone. Well, yeah, because those people, I wouldn't be staying in a hostel right now myself.
Yeah,
those people are a lot of risk in there.
So those are the things that I think we'll need to do in the short term. What questions, concerns do we want to bring up? What are you guys? What's on your guys' minds?
The other thing is just like making sure, like, know what the symptoms are. Don't downplay the symptoms if you have them.
Yes.
Like actually, like make sure that like that is present. There is a big, and I was talking about this to Sarah yesterday. COVID-19 has serious transmission implications, but in a lot of cases, it's being underplayed really, really strongly as not being a big deal because it's not a particularly fatal or serious virus. However, there are people who it is fatal and serious for, and there's a real difficulty as an ethical business and a left business in a lot of ways for knowing how to most talk about it. And the best, it's you want to have an instinct to say, hey, chill, everything's fine. There's a lot of panic happening. So there is a middle ground between those two things of being able to say, please still travel, please still come here. And the key is being aware of what those symptoms are and being aware of how mild those symptoms can seem, but that there are some studies that are currently showing that like when the symptoms are at their mildest is actually when it is most easily transferable at the moment as well. So particularly when we have so much exposure to so many people and we are in a high traffic situation, being aware that what the symptoms are also reflective of what we do as a job. There can be a sore throat. But for example, my partner this morning was like, I have a blocked nose. And I was like, you okay? Because it's a runny nose. Like knowing that there to both make sure that you're not panicking, but also that we're aware of what's happening in that time as well. And then the second thing is, I think you're right that we do need to address it. Because the underlying concern, particularly because we are a multicultural city and we deal with a multicultural client base as well, is that the underside of everything that's happening with COVID at the moment is that there is a lot of racism. And there's a lot of responses to it that are coming out from not just a virus point of view, but from an ethical point of view, that also just clear communication and awareness will make us a lot better at handling those. To it that are coming out from not just a virus point of view, but from an ethical point of view, that also just clear communication and awareness will make us a lot better at handling those time to do so, because this is the secondary response to what's happening here. And as a multicultural city, I think acknowledging that secondary response shows people that we are aware, we care, and we're also combating it in that way as well. So that secondary part will also help us with the awareness and the ability to move forward with awareness at the same time as well.
Yeah.
So finding that middle ground between not wanting to panic, but also saying people who are panicking, particularly those with immunosuppressive diseases and stuff like that as well, are valid in that moment as well, and move forward.
So it's really good points, and I appreciate it, and especially the points of if we are unwell, then the thing to do is to go get tested, because we are seeing a disproportionate number of people here, and so it's hard for any business to take action until we have confirmation of it, because we are in such a high panic kind of environment. In the meantime, I think it's kind of the strongest thing that we can do is to offer the service for people who are, well, there's a lot of people in a lot of hurt right now. There's a guy, the Tourpreneur podcast that I was interviewed on a few months ago. I'm on friends with him on Facebook, and a guy was booked to go, Shane's name was booked to go to Berlin, and at the gate of his terminal, found out that ITV was canceled, a big conference that got canceled. And so he canceled his flight, but he was then going to go to London after. So then he flew to London, and then Trump came out with his European ban, and even though with banning that travel, he just panicked and flew back. I don't know if they panicked, put judgment on it, but it's just like he flew back right away. There's going to be a lot of people in these sort of situations, and a lot of them are also going to be looking for a respite from that. And so I would also encourage you to just give your tour. Give a really good tour.
People might have a few people around who might have lost a lot of money just now on a flight.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine was very lucky, had a flight to Rome. He is from Rome, he's Italian, and he was going home, and Qatar cancelled his flight, but they completely refunded him, which is actually quite unusual. So he was very lucky, but there might be a lot of people that we encounter on the tour who might have just lost a couple $1,000.
Yeah, so I kind of am of the opinion that we should at the top address it. I think I'm going to just say right now, I'm going to mandate that all of our tours stop for a bathroom stop partway through. I suggest that you do it at a town hall, because those are the kind of most clean restrooms. That's on Cullen Street.
That's one of the sides that you can get down underneath.
Yeah. And Penn Square. Penn Square works also. If you go to Penn Square, my tour didn't go to Penn Square. So either one works, but one of those ones that we know has in the hand wash station, has soap topped up on it. And then say
the downstairs on the left at the very front of the Myers, pretty good bathroom.
Oh yeah,
And so
another good one.
that's sometimes
So
right.
you guys decide which bathroom to go to. I know I'm not going to dictate that much on your tour, but I will say that like by the time all of our tours stop partway through, then at that point they've had the coffee, they've been going around, they've been touching things, and then you say, all right guys, time for a 20-second hand wash, and you go lead by example and do it yourself.
It's like with children. No, did you go? Was that 20 seconds? You were back very quickly.
Yeah.
Kind of like to the group first. So is this going to be an individual chat for once we've separated, or I think probably best if it's
in one go.
in one go, because then then there's an official thing that's said. Because we're not doing, because if we split up and do it individually, when we do, hey, this is how the tour's going to work today. I don't know. Whatever you feel like we need to say, always appropriate to say about.
I feel like it is better said by the person who is leading the tour, who's going to be the tone setter of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I could see myself showing up at the start point and having to, all right, before we split up, like, and go through all these things. And if you're already kind of spooked on it, it just like.
But that might be opportunity to say, thanks for coming out with Walk 101, even what you're saying about the time bushfires, the time virus and things like that. And thanks for supporting tourism in Australia.
That's a good point. And also it lets kind of that person be the kind of
the official.
Because
then there might be an official kind of party line statement that you're going to.
The problem is that we're going to be moving away from, like, that's an unnecessary contact point. And so I'm going to be looking in the next few days at how I can make it so that you don't need Kevin, Hugo, or myself at the start point, so you are fully responsible for the registration to limit exposure as well. So I'm not going to go in that direction just because it will be getting us used to something that will have to change again in the near future. I appreciate what you're saying. It's a good idea. But yeah, I think we're very close to not needing us to be at the registration point. It's just a matter of, actually that's another thing you should take. So today we're going to go in, we're going to take maps, we're going to take an umbrella each, we're going to take a square reader each. If you can't, if you don't have a bag big enough for that, feel free to come back after and grab it. But then after today, your tour job is to show up at the start of the tour and then give it and then go home again. It's not to come into the office.
Discussing the pickups at the minute, because that's a lot of extra time spent on the trams and public transport and large groups of people and things like that.
I'm not ready to make a decision on that right now. This is all stuff. Basically, what we're talking about right now is decisions that I've been able to make in the last 6 hours or so. I haven't thought about this.
You didn't sleep last night.
No, not much, no.
Yeah.
Can I just ask whether, like, let's say someone's showing up with symptoms, or we notice they're like coughing. Is that something that we say, hey, we don't want you on the tour? If we notice like halfway through the tour and other guests are looking uncomfortable, how should that situation be
I think you
managed?
should do anything about that.
Well, you can, though.
Whenever you send someone away, doesn't that maybe start to lean towards the whole kind of like bit too fearful?
You're also leaning into almost a discrimination situation there.
They might have a cough.
They might, but it's also, they might also be spreading the disease. I'm thinking more about our guests and ourselves as well. Like, I wouldn't want someone on my tour who's coughing everywhere and we just don't say anything because we don't want to hurt their feelings, come off as discriminatory, be seen as overly reactive.
Then you've got to be very careful about potentially who it is as well.
Yeah, because the issue isn't coming off as discriminatory. The issue is if it can legally be viewed as discriminatory to do so.
So I'm gonna come in and say I'm gonna make a decision for us on this one, and that's that until we have a PhD doctor on the team, I don't think that we're qualified to make that sort of decision. I understand it's uncomfortable and scary in that situation, but there's just nothing we can do like this until the government comes out with authoritarian measures to, put people in detention centers.
Not quite that bad, but it can be like if you're showing, flu-like symptoms, your guide has the right to ask you to leave. Something as simple.
But how do you define flu-like symptoms from your use of medical training?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean, but
like I know I hear what you're saying. I'm just thinking that like there is no barrier there from it turning into a current affair top story, Chinese tourist kicked off tour.
Yeah, well, I was thinking something.
No, part of me was just thinking, like, you can say at the start, if anyone is feeling a little bit under the weather, you can just keep a little bit of a distance. But then I'm always trying to say, like, come in, so I'm not yelling as loud.
Also, another thing I'm going to be doing in the back office, which doesn't concern you guys as much, is that we'll be making people more aware of our 24-hour cancellation and change policy. And for anything related to health, if people have health concerns, we'll change your date free of charge even within the 24-hour period. So we'll make people feel very free. So there's not that thing of someone, oh, I really want to go on this. I don't want to lose my booking sort of thing. We're going to eliminate that.
Yeah, good. The other thing I was wondering about, I don't know what the process is, I guess, when someone has a confirmed case, whether there's like someone is responsible for contacting everyone, like tracing who they might have been in touch with, but is that something that we should say is after the fact, like after the tour, if you do end up with a case, please send us an email so we can let other people on the tour know?
I think
if one of us was ill and then we went on the tour.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
To track
I think like the worldwide responsibility that seems to regularly be falling on people with a confirmed case. It seems to be like when you get confirmed, one of the first instructions that you get is please contact everyone that you've been in contact with for the last like 3 to 4 days, I think is around where that one sits.
Yeah.
So it would be nigh on impossible.
My view on it, looking at where it's going, is that's just going to be like in a few days. That's not even going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
Then this thing's going to be half the world has it.
You might have to switch to the business selling toilet rolls and pasta.
There we go. Toilet roll, free toilet roll every bar tour.
By the way, if anyone needs to buy toilet paper, at the moment, Asian groceries are being actively avoided, and they all also stock toilet paper.
Oh.
So use people's racism to your advantage.
Oh my god.
I think that's probably enough said about this thing.
Can I throw a quick point?
Yeah, go for it.
So, because there's a difference between sort of symptoms to be worried about and just symptoms anyway. At what point do we go, hey, feeling a bit XYZ, just letting you know, should I be coming in to work? Because that could range anything from I've got a little bit of a cough to I've got a cough and I've got a temperature. Because how far does it have to go before we need to go?
Good question. So
where's our line here?
One of the benefits of this sort of situation is that we've got a policy. We've got a clear policy outline for this in your handbook, and so we're going to fall back on that. Yeah. And so if you're unwell, you're not well enough to work, you are allowed to call in sick for a day. If it goes more than 1 day, then I have the right that I will exercise to get a doctor's note for it. So that's kind of the level. I can't tell you. I can't be in your head and tell you.
No, it's more about because it depends like how you could work. Because I could come into work with a lot of the symptoms that we're talking about that would make me symptomatic and transmissive. So it's like
and still be able to work though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm getting at.
No, it's an excellent point, and I don't have an answer. It has to be something to think about.
That's why earlier I was saying, like, if your instinct in the past, and like I do this, is to downplay something like a runny nose or a dry cough or a light fever. If usually in the standard situation where we're not in a WHO declared pandemic, is to downplay that. Maybe at the moment say, "Ooh, I'm going to think a little harder about that than I usually would in the past."
The runny nose wasn't a symptom of it. I thought it was coughing.
It's dry cough, runny nose, fever, and in like serious.
I'm gonna keep this meeting away from the diagnosis.
Because I thought that was fairly important
side of things
to say, because we personally come in contact with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because obviously what first thing to do is to talk about ourselves and to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe. That's why we're not going to do a physical meeting. But I mean, we have a responsibility.
It is not outside of all possibility right now that we shut down for a few weeks or a few months even. That is a serious consideration that I'm keeping a close eye on.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do that for all of our sakes.
Yeah.
But that's why I need to stay away from having kind of blanket policies. Because every person is going to have to read the news, assess their own symptoms, go to get tested at the doctor based on your own medical history. And that's why I want to keep this meeting away from that. Right now, the best that I can do is change our current operational plan to kind of limit our risk. And there's going to be more kind of adjustments and changes in the hours to come and days to come. But it's a very fast moving situation.